What's up, YouTube? It's been a minute since my last upload. Because of the holidays, haven't been able to do a lot of racing, and I've gotten a little rusty. Me and all my buddies, we went into a public lobby, the GT3 Spec Series, and we just had a terrible time, so we decided, let's do some private multiplayer, and here are the rules. Whoever wins the race gets to pick the next track and car combo, with this first one being the Formula Mazdas at Watkins Glen. Now, this was far better than our GT3 Spec Series races, because we didn't have the variable of other drivers, but it's very evident that all of us are rusty. And coming up to this bus stop right here, you can tell right away, none of us have done this in a while, because we all just take completely different lines through. Almost crashed into Muscles here, but we were able to survive. We don't get a penalty, yet this collision right there, which seemed to have been nothing, we got 0.5 seconds. Whatever. Now, things get a little hairy, a little scrappy, but, you know, we're doing these private races just to warm back up and get good again. We are taking it a little serious, being a little competitive about it, so we might have a bit of aggressive rubbing, but it's all for fun. Now we're gonna get by Big Willie here, late on the brakes, a little bit of a tap, probably wasn't anything serious, no penalty at all, and now we're gonna chase down Muscles. Now, all of these races that we did were pretty short. This one was 4 laps, so we went on soft tires. I clearly right there assumed that the softs were a little grippier and went way off track, picking up a nice fat 1.3 seconds of penalties. So now we're looking at south of 2 seconds of penalties, which isn't great when you only have 4 laps, but we're just here to warm up and try to figure out how to race again. And I got new pedals. I got the Fanatec CSL Elite V2s with the load cell, which are phenomenal, but I'm having to completely relearn how to race because, you know, the brake is just so much different than using those Logitech G29 pedals. And having tried to learn the race with the line off before Christmas and then going a month off, I'm an absolute mess. I could have been much worse, but I was definitely feeling a bit more rusty than I anticipated. Get a little bump there, but not going to get a penalty out of that one. Wasn't too serious. And we have Aventador on our butt catching up. The 5 of us have done these private multiplayer races actually quite a bit, but I've never really uploaded any. Not that they're boring, but because I assume the races with 20 cars are probably far more interesting than 5, but these 5-player races actually tend to have better wheel-to-wheel racing because we respect each other. And there is no variable of random people that could be, you know, maybe not as good, just kind of wrecking our races. Now the 3 of us here are kind of in a messy situation. They're all going to get side by side with me basically, going into this bus stop, which is never a good idea. Luckily they both brake. I somehow found a line that looked so off, or I guess it looked very off the track, but I guess it was fine. Track limits are quite wide, I guess. Now we're in first place, 3rd lap. 1.8 seconds of penalty. Just trying my absolute hardest to pull away here, but it's not possible. It could have been possible if Aventador wasn't in 2nd, but he's just too quick on his own. He's going to naturally just catch up to me. And the cars behind him are just going to draft right behind the straight, so whatever lead I did have is just going to slowly disappear as they chase me down the straight. Now, it's not, such a small gap where I'm scared they're gonna wind up overtaking me, but I definitely was at this point feeling like, okay, I'm not gonna win off because of the penalty, but I need to keep first. But it got pretty hairy. Aventador just kept pushing and pushing and was finding time that I wasn't finding. And as we end lap 4, I'm super excited because I guess I'm gonna win, but because of penalty, I'm gonna get second. I do not get to pick the next track car combo, which is a bummer, but it's a good start, and it's a good ego boost to get first place. So going into the next race, Aventador decided we're doing a Kone with the Honda Civic touring cars. Also one of my favorites. You can't hate the touring cars. If you ever done the intro series, the touring car Civics are such a blast to use. No one ever uses them in the touring series because they're just one of the weaker cars. But when everyone uses the Civics, it's just so fun. And at Hakone, you're always going to have a blast. The track is so wide, the slipstreams are strong. Now, I have a terrible launch off the line and fall into 5th place, and the strategy here was actually a little wild. Half of us, or actually I think almost all of us, decided to go on soft tires knowing that it was going to be a stretch. It's 8 laps this time instead of 4. And we're on the softs, a little overconfident from the last race because the softs were lasting so long, on the Formula Mazdas, and we all were like, oh, let's try it on the Civics. So all of us except New Hawk went on softs. New Hawk went on mediums. And you're going to be able to tell almost immediately that he's on a different tire compound because we all kind of get stuck behind him just a little bit and slowly get by him in the early laps. And as the race unfolds, he catches back up as we all lose all of our grip. So I'm sitting back here in 5th, just being patient, watching all of them. Hakone is one of those tracks where you're going to overtake the guy in front of you no matter what, as long as you stay behind him. So I'm just trying to watch everybody, get a nice inside line here, and I'm able to get past Big Willie. We have a bit of a bump here, but ultimately we're able to make the overtake, and now we're behind New Hawk. And like I said, you can tell almost immediately he's on less grippy tires. Granted, that was kind of a send by me. I'm shocked that I was able to pull it off, but we're able to zip right by him, and now we're in 3rd. Now, Big Willie isn't super happy with that and wants to take this inside line and almost gets it from me. A little bit of a bump, pushes me wide, but we kind of run side by side through the main straight here. Main straight? I don't know what you'd call this. The whole track feels like a main straight. And we're still a little in front of them, but on this turn we're able to make a little bit of time, and New Hawk gets in front of Big Willie, which is naturally going to slow Big Willie down a bit, and they're going to fight and allow me to have a bit of breathing room to catch back up to the front 2 cars. Now, we're 2.5 seconds about in front of New Hawk, which is a massive amount of time that we're gaining. And we're just doing everything that we can to catch up to these front 2 cars. Now, knowing that we're on softs, looking at the tires, they're already at halfway. We all were agreeing that this was a terrible strategy and maybe we should have done the mediums. But some of us, are like, we're going to commit to the softs. It's going to be awful, but we're going to stay on the softs all 8 laps. Not the best idea, but I started driving very conservatively, trying not to go on the throttle hard, trying to brake very softly. Muscles goes into the pit because his tires are cooked. But me and Aventador decide to stay out. Now, as we enter lap 6, we have just a bit of tire left. It feels like it could happen, but the Civic, once the front tires are gone, they deteriorate like crazy. Gonna try to stay on the outside, move onto the inside, and get in front, and now we are leading the race. With 2 laps to go, and a yellow front left, this is getting a little hairy. Pulling up side by side. I'm doing whatever I can to keep these tires from getting anywhere. So I am braking so softly. I am turning in as soft as I can, as slow as I can. I'm not trying to go as fast as I can anymore. The name of the game now is make sure the guy behind you doesn't pass without sacrificing your tire health. And, you know, he's probably doing the same. He's probably trying to keep his tires because he fought Muscle's first, like, 5 laps. So, just like that last race, it's, you know, a 1-2 battle with Aventador. But this time, it's gonna get a bit more interesting. If you look at the timetable, New Hawk is 5.8 seconds behind us. He's on mediums, but now our tires are pretty cooked, and you can just hear them. They're not doing well. He's gonna just start making up all that lost time. Now, we're entering the last lap. Tires absolutely cooked. I would imagine Aventador's tires are absolutely gone. He's gonna be a little cheeky and try to cut up on the inside. I'm not gonna fight him too much because it is the last lap, and this straight is kind of, I mean, there's no way he's gonna pull away with this straight. There's just too strong of a draft. We're already looking at New Hawk. He's down to 3.5 seconds. We were losing so much time because of our tires. Pulling up on the outside of him, I'm gonna just try to take the easiest line I can because, I mean, the tires are cooked. The car will barely turn. Doing whatever I can just to make the car get around the turn here. I'm gonna slowly get over to the side of the road to try to block off Aventador, prevent him from zipping through the inside there. And now, if you can see in the mirrors, oh, New Hawk is caught up. We get a little bit of a bump, which allows him to catch up even more. We're going side by side in the last turn. Put the throttle down. The tires are gone. And New Hawk is right there side by side with Aventador and just barely scrapes by and takes P2 from him. So that time, I finally got first, and I picked the next race, which happened to be a big mistake for me. I picked the NASCARs at Eagle Rock Speedway. I have such a fun time doing this race, but every time I do it, I am the worst one in the lobby. I don't know what it is about oval racing, but I am garbage. Now, this race, Big Willie did unfortunately drop out, so it's just the 4 of us, but it does start off really, really interesting. The NASCAR races, I mean, they're always interesting. Everyone tends to stay in a pretty tight pack, but I get some nice overtakes right from the get-go. Ego is feeling pretty good. I'm like, all right, yeah, I got the NASCAR thing down. But as, you know, we get a couple of laps in, I slowly realize I am far underneath everyone's pace. We all wound up going mediums with the idea that we'd either do mediums to softs or mediums. But everyone was really good at conserving their tire health, except me. Like I said, I was struggling on these oval races. I'm in second right now, about a second behind Muscles, but as the race continues, I just lose more and more time. I mean, I'm taking a bad line. I'm not able to carry the speed. I can't turn. I just struggle so much in these oval races. Already being overtaken here, get a little upset and just want to keep the position. Almost ruined both of our races. Sorry, Aventador. Now he's going to zip by and get the position back, but I've just lost so much time to both of them. There's just no way I'm getting back to them. Fortunately, this race is just a pretty race. I set it to evening with times 24 time scale, so we get to go into the sunset, into the starry night. It's such a fun race to look at. If you're dead last, at least it still looks good. Now, we're on lap 11, and everyone is quite far ahead of me. New Hawk is 4 seconds behind. He's struggling a little bit as well with the NASCAR. I decide to make a bold decision here and pit. I assumed everybody was going to pit, so I was going to do the early pit, and I put some softs on with the expectation that everyone was going to pit in maybe a lap or two, and I was going to absolutely cook because I pit early and got the softs on. Unfortunately, that was the completely wrong call. We're now half a minute behind everybody, and surprise to no one, nobody ended up pitting but me. So wound up just staying in last place for the rest of the race, and that is the last race, I guess, of the night. If you made it this far, I want to say thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, talk to you guys later.